All right, let's go into the All Elite Wrestling section of the program. And it's going to be a little easier this week because we don't have to review the Rampage program from Friday night, just last night. This is early on Saturday as we speak. And that was December 17th. And we're not going to review that program because it wasn't worth it. But I just they had at one point, pull up the ratings for last Wednesday so when we get to it. But they had at one point apparently over 1 million people watching the program on Wednesday night. And they capitalize on that by on Friday night on national cable television giving the people this program. The Hardley Boys, Bobby Fish, and Adam Cole against Pockets and the Puddin' Gang in an 8-man tag. I'm talking about Muffin Top Taylor. I'm talking about poor old Rocky Romero that's been stuck in there, and Trent's back. And, of course, the company mascot. Then, after that match, now that Adam Cole is completely meaningless, Brian, I swear to God, I'm not making this up. They had a submission match between Ty Conti and Penelope Pitstop. Apparently because Ronda Rousey and Chris Cyborg were not available.
Well, to be fair, Ty Conti is a legitimate trained martial artist, but I hadn't realized this feud.
To be fair, Penelope Pitstop is not.
Yeah, I hadn't realized this feud had even gotten to this point where they went right to a submission match. What happened?
I don't know or care. It doesn't matter. They put it, yes, Ty Conti is a trained mixed martial artist, and Penelope Pitstop is a trained outlaw mud show girl. And they're having a submission match with the girls now. In the history and tradition of Blanchard and Magnum TA, Flair and Funk, Austin and Hart, Conti and Pitstop. And then the main event on the program was Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and the Lucha Brothers in a 10-man tag against the ever-popular Daniel Garcia 2.0 and the Acclaimed. That was our program.
And I like those guys. A lot of those guys you named, Eddie Kingston, the Acclaimed, 2.0, Daniel Garcia. Every one of those people you just named is someone I enjoy watching. I'm sick of the 10-man and the 8-man tags. And the Acclaimed, the last 2 Acclaimed matches we've seen have been multi-man or multi-team matches. I'm kind of sick of that. You know, I want to do something with Eddie Kingston. By the way, let's talk about that real quick.
Yes.
Eddie Kingston had a lot of momentum. People are going crazy for him. The New York crowd loves him, obviously, but everywhere they're going, people are reacting to him. It's natural. It's
that
real.
Article?
He writes that article. People see him in a whole new way. The pops continue, and then they kind of don't use him so much on TV. And now it appeared before, God stepped in and took away Chris Jericho's vocal cords. It appeared that Jericho was about to latch on to Kingston. But the reason Jericho was going to do that is because Kingston is so hot, but they're not doing anything with him. What the hell's going on?
So by the time poor Chris gets back from his tour, the next over person that he was going to sap the attention from will no longer be over. That's what we've been talking about this. They start and stop. Somebody gets over through some, Pillman Jr. with the Dark Side of the Ring episode. And he was a tremendously sympathetic figure and a baby face.
That's a good comparison.
He gets a couple of matches. And boom. And then MJF brought him back into prominence so he could get a win, as he should have in that instance. But at least Brian was competitive with a guy that is seen as a main event guy. And now he's back, cheerleading for fucking Griff Garrison and Kingston. His Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs breaks out for 2 or 3 weeks there, and everybody look at him, and everybody's talking about him and the match with Punk, right? And boom, he disappears. This has been happening. For whatever reason, Tony Khan is convinced that the way to write television with a large roster is to feature somebody for a few weeks, and then they go away somewhere to YouTube or witness protection, and they lose all their momentum. But you see the same job guys doing the same jobs to the same guys every week now. I guarantee you Daniel Garcia and 2.0, and nothing against them.
Yeah, they're good. I actually like them.
But they have wrestled more over the past 3 months on television than better than 50% of the main event roster. And pretty much all of the guys underneath that ought to be getting wins every week. They're doing jobs every week, Garcia and 2.0. The guys that are getting wins every week are the ones you only see a couple weeks at a time and then they go away. They're the ones that should be getting wins every week ongoing. It's maddening. They get things handed to them by serendipity. But like I said, the Dark Side episode or the Players Club article, it's not the Players Club that he was on, Kingston. The
Players
article,
Tribune.
There you go. They're an offshoot of the Players Club.
No.
Or just Hobbs or anybody that Punk has tried to elevate or whatever, and then they go away. That's not how you push guys. I mean, not even if they can't wrestle every week, they can be on, they can be involved, they can talk, or they can be talked about, or they can be shown what they did last week, or shown what they did in another venue somewhere. And I mean, I remember when Austin was getting over and then had the various injuries, the neck, and then he was back, and then he was out with the knee. It was me. It was Shitstain at one point. It was everybody in the office trying to figure out ways to keep a guy on television that couldn't even wrestle, but we didn't want to tell the people that he couldn't wrestle. And they figured out, and it got Austin over more than he was before he got hurt because we had to figure out ways to get him involved.
Yeah, get Kingston in front of the crowd on the microphone. On the Wednesday show every week for something. Get that pop. Let people see it. Let people wonder about it.
But so you're correct in bringing in. So Kingston was the leader of the top babyface team here against people that everybody knew. It's like a glorified television match, and they try to heat up all of these things, and in doing so, they heat up nothing. Because everybody that's announced that's going to have a match, you can bet that one of them's going to be back talking to Tony Schiavone and never get a word out of his mouth before the people that he's going to wrestle fucking jump him from behind. Every match, they've set a baseline of chaos is the norm, as we've mentioned. Sometimes, for TV especially, it's fucking free. Book a cold match. And a cold match, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if they still use this term since there are none anymore, but a cold match is an age-old wrestling term for a match without an angle or a heat behind it. That's why it's termed a cold match. You just book two people to wrestle each other, especially on television. And a world title match without an angle is not a cold match. It has the championship at stake, etc. But just a cold match for television gets your talent exposed and allows them to do what they do and get over without destroying the effectiveness of doing angles where people beat each other up before they wrestle. Again, if every match begins by somebody getting a shit kicked out of them in the fucking locker room in the back, then it loses all of its effectiveness and it's just the norm. And that's what they've done. And you have job guys jumping main event stars in the back and beating them up just because they're booked to wrestle on TV next week. Fuck it. Save that shit for when it means something and just book TV matches. It's not like it's going to make any difference because the angles now that they do are so many and so similar to every other one. It's not like it makes any difference in the match or puts any extra heat on it. It's just either Tony or probably also a bunch of the modern wrestlers think that if they're going to have a match on TV, they're supposed to jump the other guy beforehand. That's how far we've gone, to where even the wrestlers think that this is a good thing to do, not just the inexperienced bookers. So as a result, none of this means anything anymore because everybody does it. So chaos becomes the norm. You've established a baseline, and it's